Hey guys, today, I want you to imagine something. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of a crowded city, surrounded by people rushing to get to their destinations. It's chaotic, it's fast-paced, everyone's fighting for space. But you're calm. You know exactly where you're going and how to get there. You're not reacting to the chaos. Instead, you're shaping your own path. Now, what if I told you that success in life, in business, in every challenge you face, isn't about working harder, but about thinking smarter? That's the difference between reacting to the world around you and actually shaping it. In this audiobook, we're diving into something most people overlook: strategic thinking. It's not some complex concept reserved for CEOs or top generals. It's a skill anyone can learn, and it's what separates the successful from the ones who are constantly scrambling, reacting, and feeling stuck. Whether you're building a business, advancing in your career, or just navigating life's daily challenges, strategic thinking is the key to gaining control of your future. The truth is, most people are playing the wrong game. They wake up, go through their routines, react to whatever comes their way, and repeat. They check off their to-do lists, deal with problems as they arise, but they never take the time to think ahead. Now, think about this. What would happen if you weren't just reacting to everything around you? What if you could see the opportunities hidden in every situation? What if you could anticipate obstacles before they even appeared? You'd be able to outmaneuver challenges, make decisions with confidence, and predict outcomes that others didn't even see coming. This isn't about being smarter than everyone else. It's about strategizing smarter than everyone else. That's the power of strategic thinking. It's a skill that allows you to step back, look at the big picture, and plan your moves before you make them. Successful people, whether they're military strategists, top CEOs, or elite athletes, have this ability. And here's the kicker. You can develop this skill too. Our brains are wired for patterns. MIT researchers found that our brains are essentially prediction machines. They're constantly scanning our environment, looking for patterns, and trying to anticipate what's next. The only problem is, most people let their brains run on autopilot. They don't train themselves to be strategic thinkers. Instead, they let their brain do what it's most familiar with: reacting. The elite thinkers, though, they've trained their minds to see beyond the immediate. They don't just react, they predict. They plan. And because they're doing that, they're always ahead of the game. Let me ask you this. What if you could train your brain to think ahead? Imagine knowing exactly where you're going and being able to avoid potential roadblocks before they even show up. Strategic thinkers can see opportunities and risks that others can't. They don't wait for life to happen to them. They make life happen. Strategic thinkers are like chess masters. A regular player sees the next move, but a chess master sees 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. They understand the entire game, not just the current move, and that's the difference between surviving and thriving in any area of your life. You see, a lot of people approach life and work like they're just checking off tasks. They move from one issue to the next, reacting without a plan. But the best strategists don't just react to life, they shape it. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He didn't just launch Apple products and react to what consumers wanted. He anticipated what consumers would want before they even knew it themselves. He saw where technology was headed and positioned himself ahead of the curve. He was always 3 steps ahead. You don't need to be a tech genius or a business mogul to do this. The mindset of a strategist can be applied in your daily life, whether you're managing a team, navigating your career, or making personal decisions. I want to make something clear. Strategic thinking isn't reserved for billionaires, world leaders, or negotiators. This skill is accessible to everyone. You don't need to be a business magnate or a high-powered executive to develop this ability. In fact, the best part is, you can learn it. Think about someone who is truly successful in your life. They may not have a fancy title or access to vast resources, but they have one thing in common. They think strategically. Whether it's a small business owner or a community leader, these people have developed the ability to see patterns in the world around them and make decisions that put them in the best position to succeed. The power of strategic thinking is that it levels the playing field. No matter your background, you can learn to outmaneuver the competition, solve problems more effectively, and achieve your goals faster. So, here's the big question. How do you apply strategic thinking to your own life? Over the next few sections, we'll break down exactly how to do that. We're going to dive into mental models, frameworks, and tools that you can apply immediately to your personal and professional life. From the psychology behind decision-making to powerful strategies used by top strategists in history, we'll cover it all. The best part? These aren't just theories. This is practical, actionable content. These strategies are already used by some of the most successful people in the world. And now, I'm showing you how to use them for yourself. You'll learn how to think ahead, outmaneuver obstacles, and position yourself for success. Strategic thinking is a skill that can change your life, and I'm here to guide you through every step of it. So, buckle up. This journey is about to change the way you think, act, and live. Actionable takeaways. 1. Strategic thinking isn't just for the elite. It's a skill anyone can learn. 2. Your brain is wired to predict. Train it to think strategically by identifying patterns and anticipating challenges. 3. Learn from chess masters. Think ahead. Don't just react. Shape the game. 4. Start applying strategic thinking today, whether you're in business, school, or life. It's all about positioning yourself for success before challenges arise. Imagine this for a moment. You're on a battlefield, surrounded by opponents. You don't know how to fight. You're just reacting, hoping to dodge their blows. You might get lucky for a while, but eventually, you'll be overwhelmed. Now, imagine that you're the general of an army. You're not just reacting to every attack. You're anticipating moves before they happen. You can see the battlefield as a whole, plan your strategy, and put yourself in a position where you control the fight. Which scenario would you prefer? This analogy is exactly how strategic thinkers approach life. Strategic thinking isn't about reacting. It's about preparing, positioning, and outmaneuvering obstacles before they even arise. In this section, we'll break down what strategic thinking really is and why it's the key to success in every area of your life. From business decisions to personal relationships, strategic thinking gives you the power to take control of your future and shape it with intention. The best part? It's not some mystical skill that only a few elite people are born with. It's something that anyone can learn and master. At its core, strategic thinking is about looking at the big picture and understanding how individual actions fit into long-term goals. It's not just about solving today's problems. It's about predicting tomorrow's challenges and positioning yourself to handle them before they arise. In simpler terms, strategic thinking is the ability to make decisions that maximize future success while minimizing potential risks. Strategic thinkers don't just act. They plan, adapt, and move with purpose. They anticipate, adapt, and act in a way that aligns with their long-term vision. Think of a chess player who looks at the board, not just for their next move, but for how their current actions will impact the next 5-10 moves. That's what strategic thinking is, being several steps ahead, always planning your next move while considering the consequences of your actions down the line. You've probably heard this one before. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. It's one of those quotes that gets thrown around a lot. But why does it hold so much weight? Because most people are simply reacting. They go through their days without a clear plan, drifting from one task to another, constantly fighting fires instead of preparing for them. When you don't think strategically, you end up reacting to situations as they arise, instead of anticipating challenges and creating opportunities. It's like trying to drive a car without looking at the road ahead. Sure, you might be able to get somewhere, but how often are you dodging obstacles, risking a crash, or getting lost? Strategic thinkers don't put themselves in that position. Take this example from the world of business: Blockbuster versus Netflix. Blockbuster had no shortage of resources, but they were stuck in the present. They didn't anticipate the rise of streaming or the shift in consumer behavior. Netflix, on the other hand, didn't just respond to the market. They anticipated it, invested in technology, and took a calculated risk by shifting from DVD rentals to online streaming. Now, Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar company, and Blockbuster is a cautionary tale. Why? Because Netflix thought strategically. They predicted the future and positioned themselves ahead of the curve. Blockbuster, on the other hand, was too busy reacting to the present. One of the main strengths of strategic thinkers is their ability to spot patterns and make predictions. Your brain is designed to identify patterns, but most people don't train it to use this ability to its full potential. Let's take an example from the stock market. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, doesn't try to predict every up and down fluctuation. Instead, he looks for long-term patterns in businesses that show sustained growth. He predicts the future by analyzing trends, understanding economic forces, and evaluating a company's long-term potential, not reacting to every little blip on the radar. Think about your own life for a second. What if you could start seeing patterns in your work, your relationships, or even your personal development? What if you could predict your next move before you even made it? The ability to spot patterns and anticipate future outcomes is one of the most powerful aspects of strategic thinking. This isn't just about luck. It's about training your brain to spot these patterns, connecting the dots, and making decisions that position you for success. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I apply strategic thinking to my own life? Whether you're navigating your career, making decisions in your personal life, or even managing a business, strategic thinking is essential for creating lasting success. Let's break it down. In business, strategic thinkers focus on long-term growth rather than short-term gains. They plan for market shifts, customer behavior changes, and technological advances. They don't just react to the competition. They create their own opportunities and outsmart their rivals. In relationships, strategic thinking isn't just about business or work. It applies to personal connections as well. Instead of just reacting to conflicts or disagreements, you can anticipate potential issues, understand the needs of others, and align your actions with your long-term relationship goals. In personal goals, have you ever set a goal only to lose track of it a few months later? Strategic thinkers are constantly assessing their long-term objectives, setting actionable steps, and staying committed to the process. They don't just set goals. They align every decision with those goals. Strategic thinking is all about positioning yourself for success in any area of life. It's the difference between passively reacting to life's challenges and actively shaping your path. It's time to shift gears. Now that you understand the power of strategic thinking, let's get into how you can start developing this skill. Here are a few steps to begin thinking strategically. 1. Think long-term. Strategic thinkers don't just look at the next few days, weeks, or even months. They think in years. What does your life, business, or career look like in 5 or 10 years? Start with the end in mind and work backward to figure out how to get there. 2. Identify patterns. Pay attention to patterns in your life and the world around you, whether it's in business, relationships, or personal habits. Look for recurring trends that can help you anticipate what's coming next. 3. Plan for multiple outcomes. A key aspect of strategic thinking is planning for the unexpected. Great strategists always consider what could go wrong and have a backup plan. Don't just react. Be proactive and prepare for different scenarios. 4. Stay flexible. Strategic thinking isn't about being rigid. Life is unpredictable. Adapt your plan when necessary, but always keep your long-term vision in focus. 5. Build a strategic network. Surround yourself with people who can help you anticipate changes, provide feedback, and offer new perspectives. A strategic network isn't just about collecting connections. It's about finding allies who share your vision and can help you achieve your goals. Strategic thinking isn't a one-time fix. It's a skill that you build and refine over time. And the best part is that you don't need to be born with it. You can learn it, and you can start right now. So, take a moment. Think about your goals, your challenges, and your future. How can you start thinking ahead today? What patterns can you spot that will help you make better decisions tomorrow? The next step is simple. Start practicing strategic thinking. As you continue on this journey, you'll find that life doesn't just happen to you. You'll be the one shaping it. Actionable takeaways. 1. Strategic thinking is not about reacting. It's about anticipating and planning. 2. Start by looking at the big picture and setting long-term goals. 3. Identify patterns in your life and use them to predict future outcomes. 4. Build a strategic network of people who can help you achieve your vision. Imagine being in the middle of a high-stakes situation, whether it's a business deal, an important conversation, or even a personal challenge. You're under pressure. Everything's moving fast, and the stakes are high. Now, think about the difference between reacting impulsively and thinking strategically. The power lies in how you control your mind during these moments. Strategic thinking is as much about mental discipline as it is about making the right decisions. To be a master strategist, you must first learn how to manage your mind, especially when it's under pressure. The psychology behind strategic thinking is the foundation that helps you make clearer, more deliberate decisions instead of getting caught up in emotions or immediate impulses. In this section, we'll explore the mental shifts necessary for strategic thinking, how to harness the power of your brain, and the cognitive frameworks that top strategists use to stay ahead of the game. Strategic thinking isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. Here's something most people don't realize. Your brain is constantly making decisions. It's running through thousands of thoughts every day, many of which are unconscious. In fact, studies show that we make around 35,000 decisions every single day. But how many of those decisions are strategic? The truth is, most decisions are made impulsively, based on habits or emotions, not careful thought. Strategic thinkers, however, have trained their brains to slow down and make better, more thoughtful decisions. Instead of reacting to everything around them, they create a pause, a space to think. They don't just allow their brain to follow its autopilot mode. They intentionally steer it toward deliberate, thoughtful decisions. Let's take a look at how this works on a neurological level. The brain has two primary systems for making decisions: the emotional system, which reacts quickly, and the rational system, which takes more time but results in smarter decisions. Most people default to the emotional system, making snap judgments without considering the bigger picture. But strategic thinkers know how to activate their rational system. They don't let emotions take over. Instead, they pause and reflect, allowing their brain to make a calculated decision. This pause is the key to clear, strategic thinking. So, the first step in thinking strategically is learning to recognize when your emotional system is taking control. Pause. Take a breath. Re-engage your rational brain. The more you do this, the more natural it will become to think clearly in high-pressure situations. One of the most powerful tools in a strategist's mental toolbox is something called mental models. These are frameworks or lenses through which we can evaluate and make decisions. Think of them as glasses that help you see the world more clearly. Without them, you're just stumbling through, reacting to whatever comes your way. For example, first principles thinking is a model used by some of the most successful people in history, including Elon Musk. Instead of accepting assumptions or relying on conventional wisdom, Musk breaks problems down to their most fundamental truths. Then, he builds up from there, making decisions based on those truths. This is strategic thinking in its purest form, cutting through assumptions and getting to the heart of the matter. The Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, is another powerful mental model. It states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. A strategic thinker uses this model to identify the highest impact activities and focus on them, cutting out the noise and distractions that waste time and energy. By utilizing these mental models, strategic thinkers make faster, better decisions. They don't get bogged down by irrelevant information. They don't get distracted by shiny objects. Instead, they use structured frameworks to cut through the clutter and focus on what really matters. To think strategically, you must first understand yourself. This means recognizing your strengths, weaknesses, biases, and tendencies. Strategic thinkers don't just focus on external challenges. They understand how their own mindset influences their decisions. Let's consider the role of self-awareness in decision-making. Think about times when you've made a bad decision. Was it because of external circumstances, or because you weren't in the right mental state? Maybe you were feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or overly confident. These emotions can cloud your judgment and lead you to make poor decisions. To be a great strategist, you must first learn to manage yourself. Know when you're making decisions based on fear, stress, or impulse, and know how to correct your thinking in those moments. Strategic thinkers recognize their own biases and actively work to overcome them. They take a step back, reassess their emotions, and make decisions from a place of clarity. For example, A leader in a crisis might be tempted to make quick, reactive decisions based on fear of failure. But the strategist knows that panic isn't the answer. Instead, they take a moment to assess the situation, evaluate their options, and move forward with confidence. This level of self-awareness is the foundation for making clear, effective, strategic decisions. We all have biases, cognitive shortcuts that help us make decisions quickly, but often lead to poor judgment. These biases are part of human nature, but the best strategists have learned how to identify and overcome them. For instance, confirmation bias is when we seek out information that supports our existing beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. In business, this might look like a CEO only listening to feedback that confirms their product is a success, while ignoring red flags or customer complaints. In strategic thinking, overcoming confirmation bias means actively seeking out opposing viewpoints and challenging your assumptions. Another bias is the sunk cost fallacy, which leads us to continue investing in a failing project simply because we've already invested time, money, or effort. Strategic thinkers understand that the past doesn't dictate the future. They know when to cut their losses and pivot, even if it means walking away from something they've invested in. By recognizing and overcoming these biases, strategic thinkers make better, more rational decisions. They don't let their emotions or prior investments cloud their judgment. Instead, they make decisions based on the current situation, not past mistakes or future fears. Strategic thinking isn't just about intellectual ability. It's also about mental resilience. Life, business, and decision-making aren't always smooth sailing. You will face setbacks, mistakes, and moments of doubt. How you respond to those moments will determine your success as a strategist. The best strategists stay focused, no matter what. Mental resilience is the ability to stay calm, think clearly, and act strategically, even when things are falling apart around you. It's about recognizing that failure isn't the end, but an opportunity to learn and improve. A great example of this is Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison faced countless setbacks in his invention of the light bulb, but instead of giving up, he used every failure as a learning experience. He reframed his failures as stepping stones to success. In your own life, you'll face moments when it seems like the road ahead is blocked. Strategic thinkers stay calm, reassess the situation, and keep moving forward. They don't get bogged down by setbacks. Instead, they adapt, learn, and grow. Actionable takeaways. 1. Train your brain to engage the rational system and make thoughtful decisions. 2. Use mental models like first principles thinking and the 80-20 rule to simplify complex decisions. 3. Become self-aware. Recognize when your emotions or biases are clouding your judgment. 4. Overcome cognitive biases like confirmation bias and the sunk cost fallacy by challenging your assumptions. 5. Build mental resilience. Learn to stay calm and focused, even under pressure. Strategic thinking begins with understanding how your mind works and using that knowledge to make smarter decisions. By applying the principles in this section, you can start shifting from reactive thinking to proactive, strategic decision-making. Your mind is your most powerful tool. Learn how to use it effectively, and you'll be able to outthink and outmaneuver any challenge. Have you ever faced a moment where you felt overwhelmed by the complexity of a decision? Maybe you had too many options, too much information, or simply no clear idea of which path would lead to the best outcome. That's where strategic thinking comes in. Strategic thinkers are not just good at making decisions. They are masters at simplifying complexity and using the right tools to make those decisions clear and actionable. In this section, we will dive into mental models, frameworks and tools that allow you to break down complex problems and make decisions that align with your goals. These models are the secret weapon of top performers across every field, whether in business, sports, or personal life. By the end of this section, you'll understand why mental models are crucial to strategic thinking and how to start applying them in your life today. Let's start with a simple but profound question. How do you make decisions? Do you simply react to what's in front of you? Or do you pause and think about the bigger picture? Mental models are the tools that help you think more clearly and make decisions that aren't just impulsive, but well thought out and strategic. In essence, mental models are frameworks for thinking. They allow you to analyze problems and decisions from different angles, providing structure to how you process information. Instead of being overwhelmed by the complexity of a situation, you can rely on these models to help you make sense of the chaos. Imagine you're solving a puzzle. Mental models are like the pieces of the puzzle that help you see how everything fits together. Instead of seeing a jumble of disconnected thoughts and options, you begin to organize the information in a way that makes sense. Take a look at some of the most powerful mental models that strategists use every day. Let's talk about first principles thinking, a model that has been used by some of the most innovative minds in history, including Elon Musk. First principles thinking is all about breaking down a problem to its most fundamental truths. Let me explain this with a simple example. Imagine you're trying to start a new business. Instead of looking at what everyone else is doing and copying their approach. First principles. Thinking asks you to break down the problem into the most basic truths. What is the absolute essence of what you're trying to do? From there, you build your business model from the ground up, with no assumptions or constraints. For instance, when Elon Musk wanted to create reusable rockets, he didn't just accept the way things had always been done. He broke down the problem and asked himself, what is the core function of a rocket? What materials do I absolutely need? By reducing the problem to its basic principles, Musk was able to create SpaceX and revolutionize space travel. First principles. Thinking is a game changer because it removes preconceived notions and forces you to start from scratch, allowing for true innovation and creative problem solving. Now, let's dive into another powerful mental model, the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This model states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. In other words, not all tasks are created equal. Some will yield massive returns, while others will have little to no impact. Strategic thinkers use the 80-20 rule to prioritize their time and efforts. Instead of spreading themselves thin, they focus on the vital few tasks that will have the biggest impact on their success. Think about your day-to-day activities. Which of your actions are driving the most results? It could be a sales strategy that's bringing in the majority of revenue, or a relationship that's providing the most value. The key is to identify those high-impact tasks and focus your energy on them. The 80-20 rule isn't just for business. It applies to your personal life too. Which relationships are the most meaningful to you? Which habits lead to your biggest personal growth? When you start focusing on the few things that matter most, you'll see exponential improvements in your life. Another mental model that top strategists use is inversion thinking. This model flips your thinking upside down by asking, what would guarantee failure in this situation? It forces you to think about all the things that could go wrong and avoid them, instead of just focusing on how to succeed. Inversion is useful because it helps you avoid common mistakes and traps that many people overlook. It's not enough to think about what you want to achieve. You also need to think about what could prevent you from achieving it. By identifying these potential pitfalls early on, you can take proactive steps to mitigate them before they derail your plans. For example, let's say you're starting a new project at work. Instead of just thinking about how you'll succeed, use inversion thinking to identify all the ways the project could fail. Maybe you realize that a lack of communication with your team is a major risk, or perhaps you uncover gaps in your planning process. By addressing these risks early, you increase your chances of success significantly. Now, you might be thinking, how do I actually apply these mental models in my life? Here's the good news. You don't need to be an expert to start using them. Start small. Begin by identifying which mental models could be most useful in your current situation. If you're overwhelmed by too many tasks, try using the 80-20 rule to identify the few tasks that will make the biggest impact. If you're trying to solve a complex problem, apply first principles thinking to break it down and rebuild it from scratch. If you're facing a major decision, use inversion thinking to anticipate what could go wrong and avoid potential mistakes. Here's a challenge for you. Choose one mental model from this section and apply it to a decision or challenge you're facing right now. For example, if you're planning a new project, try applying the 80-20 rule to focus on the most important tasks. Or, if you're about to enter a negotiation, use inversion thinking to identify potential obstacles and plan for them. As you practice using these models, you'll start to notice a shift in the way you approach problems. Instead of feeling overwhelmed or stuck, you'll begin to feel more confident, clear-headed, and strategic. The beauty of mental models is that they accumulate over time. As you continue to study and practice strategic thinking, you'll add more models to your toolkit, each providing a new perspective on how to approach challenges. In addition to the models we've discussed, first principles thinking, the 80-20 rule, and inversion thinking, there are many others to explore, such as opportunity cost, second-order thinking, and the law of diminishing returns. As you build a toolkit of models, you'll begin to see the world through a new lens. Instead of reacting impulsively, you'll have the frameworks to make deliberate, thoughtful decisions that will help you achieve your goals. Actionable takeaways. 1. First principles. Thinking helps you break problems down to their most basic truths and build from the ground up. 2. The 80-20 rule teaches you to focus on the few tasks that create the most impact. 3. Inversion. Thinking helps you anticipate what could go wrong and avoid failure. 4. Start applying these models immediately to the challenges in your life and watch your decision-making improve. Strategic thinking is about making complex decisions clear. By using mental models, you can simplify the process, identify patterns, and avoid costly mistakes. These models give you the tools you need to think strategically and navigate life's challenges with confidence and clarity. What if you had the ability to make perfect decisions every time? What if you could predict the future and know which path would lead to your desired outcome? While that's not always possible, strategic decision-making brings you closer to that ideal. It's not about perfectly predicting the future, but about making the best possible choice with the information you have. In this section, we'll dive into the art and science of strategic decision-making. You'll learn the principles and techniques that successful strategists use to make choices that not only solve today's problems, but also set them up for success in the future. By understanding the core elements of strategic decision-making, you'll be able to make more confident, calculated decisions in both your personal and professional life. At the heart of strategic decision-making is the clarity of your objectives. If you don't know what you're trying to achieve, any decision will feel like a shot in the dark. Before making any decision, it's crucial to define your goals. Whether you're choosing between job offers, investing in a new venture, or deciding on the best way to spend your time. Understanding what you're ultimately working toward is the first step in making a wise choice. Without a clear sense of your long-term vision, you're left with decisions that may seem urgent or important in the moment, but aren't aligned with your bigger picture. This misalignment can lead to wasted time, energy, and resources. Let's look at an example from the world of investment. Imagine you're considering two stocks to invest in. Stock A has been growing steadily for a few years, while stock B has been volatile but has huge potential in the future. If your goal is short-term profits, stock A might be the safe choice. However, if your goal is long-term wealth building, stock B might be the better option, even though it's riskier. The point is, your objective dictates the decision. Without a clear goal, you risk making choices that don't serve your future. Now that you've defined your objectives, the next step is to weigh your options. This involves evaluating not only the potential benefits of each choice, but also the costs, specifically the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the concept of considering what you're giving up when you make a choice. Strategic thinkers understand that every decision comes with a trade-off. When you choose one opportunity, you're automatically saying no to others. It's easy to focus on the immediate benefits, but great strategists always ask, what am I sacrificing by making this decision? Let's look at an example. If you decide to spend the next hour watching TV instead of working on a project, the opportunity cost is the time and energy you could have spent making progress toward your goals. Similarly, if you decide to take a high-paying job that requires constant travel, the opportunity cost might be the time you lose with your family or the personal projects you put on hold. When making decisions, always think about what you're giving up. If the trade-offs don't align with your objectives, then the decision might not be the right one. One of the most challenging aspects of strategic decision-making is balancing short-term desires with long-term goals. It's easy to make decisions that offer quick rewards or satisfaction, but those decisions often come at the expense of your long-term vision. On the other hand, always delaying gratification can lead to missed opportunities and burnout. Great strategists have learned how to balance the urgent with the important. They understand that short-term gains are often necessary to fuel long-term progress, but they don't make decisions based on immediate gratification alone. A classic example of this is the principle of delayed gratification, which we see in countless successful entrepreneurs and leaders. For example, consider the journey of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. In its early years, Amazon focused on long-term growth rather than short-term profits. While other companies were prioritizing immediate profits, Bezos invested heavily in infrastructure, technology, and customer satisfaction. Today, Amazon is one of the most successful companies in the world. Bezos made many decisions that cost him in the short term, but positioned him and his company for massive success down the road. Strategic decision-making requires a visionary mindset, the ability to see past immediate gratification and make choices that will pay off in the long run. In any decision, there is always an element of risk, but strategic thinkers are not afraid of risk. They understand it, measure it, and mitigate it. Risk is inherent in any major decision, but it's crucial to assess the risks involved and weigh them against the potential rewards. Risk assessment involves evaluating both the probabilities of various outcomes and the impact of those outcomes. Not all risks are created equal. Some are manageable and can be mitigated, while others could have catastrophic consequences. The key to effective risk assessment is to understand the level of risk you're willing to take and to always have a contingency plan in place. For example, imagine you're considering launching a new product. The risk might be high. There's no guarantee the market will accept it. But if you conduct thorough market research, prototype testing, and marketing trials, you can mitigate some of that risk. Alternatively, if you're investing in a high-risk venture, you might decide to diversify your investments to spread out the potential risks. Great strategists don't avoid risk. They manage it. They prepare for potential downsides, but they also recognize that calculated risks often lead to greater rewards. Once you've considered all your options, weighed the opportunity costs, balanced short-term and long-term goals, and assessed the risks, it's time to make the decision. But here's where many people falter. They hesitate. They overthink. They doubt themselves. Strategic thinkers trust their process. They've spent the time up front to evaluate their options and align their decisions with their long-term objectives. Once they've gathered the information, they make the decision confidently, trusting that they've done the work to make the best choice possible. The key to making decisions with confidence is trusting your process. Once you've followed a structured approach to decision-making, you should feel confident that you're choosing the path that best serves your goals. No decision is ever 100% certain, but by following a clear strategic process, you'll significantly improve your chances of success. Actionable takeaways. 1. Clarify your objectives. Know your long-term goals before making any decision. 2. Use opportunity cost to evaluate what you're giving up when making a choice. 3. Balance short-term and long-term goals by keeping your bigger vision in focus. 4. Assess risk and always have a contingency plan in place. 5. Trust your process. Once you've done the work, trust yourself to make the decision confidently. Strategic decision-making is about planning, prioritizing, and calculating risks. The most successful people don't just make decisions. They make strategic decisions that are aligned with their goals, minimize risks, and maximize rewards. By applying these principles in your own life, you'll be able to make decisions that set you up for long-term success and allow you to confidently navigate any challenge that comes your way. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where influence, whether in a business negotiation, a family decision, or a social setting, could make all the difference? Imagine being able to persuade others, not through force or manipulation, but through understanding, empathy, and strategic communication. This is the art of influence, and mastering it can dramatically elevate your effectiveness in both your personal and professional life. In this section, we'll explore the science of persuasion and how strategic thinkers leverage influence to align others with their goals, build alliances, and create lasting impact. Whether you want to lead a team, win a client over, or rally support for a cause. Understanding how to influence others is a key skill in any strategist's toolkit. Influence isn't about overpowering others or winning arguments. It's about understanding people, connecting with their needs and desires, and crafting your message in a way that compels them to act. Before diving into the strategies and techniques for influence, let's first understand the psychology behind it. Why do people say yes to certain requests, and why do they resist others? It all comes down to human nature. Our brains are wired to respond to certain stimuli and triggers. Cialdini's 6 principles of influence are widely regarded as the foundation of persuasion. These principles help explain why people are persuaded to act and make decisions based on factors that go beyond just logic. They are: 1. Reciprocity. We feel a natural obligation to return favors and concessions. 2. Commitment and consistency. Once we make a commitment, we are likely to stay consistent with it, even if it's not in our best interest. 3. Social proof. We tend to follow the actions of others, especially when we're uncertain about what to do. 4. Liking. We are more likely to be influenced by people we like and who are similar to us. 5. Authority. We are more inclined to follow the advice or direction of those perceived as experts. 6. Scarcity. We perceive things as more valuable when they are scarce or in limited supply. By understanding and applying these principles, you can increase your influence and make your message more compelling. But influencing others isn't just about applying these principles. It's about connecting with others on a deeper level. One of the most important tools in strategic influence is emotional intelligence, EQ. While IQ may get you through academic tests, EQ is what will truly allow you to connect with others and guide them toward action. Emotional intelligence refers to your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions and the emotions of others. It plays a massive role in influence because people are not persuaded by logic alone. They are persuaded by how they feel. When you can read the emotional climate of a situation and adjust your approach accordingly, you can significantly improve your ability to influence people. For example, think about a situation where you are trying to convince a colleague to support your idea. If you approach them with a cold, rational argument, you may not get the results you want. But if you approach them with empathy, recognizing their concerns, and addressing their emotions, you will likely gain their trust and support. To strengthen your emotional intelligence, focus on the following. 1. Self-awareness. Understanding your own emotions and how they affect your decisions and interactions. 2. Self-regulation. Being able to control your emotions and stay calm under pressure. 3. Empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of others. 4. Social skills. The ability to manage relationships, communicate clearly, and inspire trust. When you develop a high level of emotional intelligence, you can connect with others, understand their needs, and influence them to take action, whether it's getting them on board with your ideas or persuading them to follow your lead. One of the most effective techniques in the art of influence is framing, the way you present information to others. Our perception of a situation can be influenced drastically by how the information is framed. Imagine you are selling a product. If you frame it as a premium product that offers exceptional value and will improve the customer's life, your potential customers will perceive it as more valuable. On the other hand, if you simply describe it as another product in the market, it might seem less enticing. The way we frame an offer or a conversation sets the stage for how others will perceive it. Strategic thinkers understand this concept and use it to their advantage. They carefully choose their words and frame their proposals in a way that appeals to the values, needs, and desires of their audience. Another powerful tactic is reframing. This involves changing the way a situation is perceived by offering a different perspective. For instance, instead of telling someone that their idea is flawed, you might say, I see where you're coming from. But have you considered this alternative perspective? This opens the door to collaboration rather than confrontation. By mastering the art of framing and reframing, you can influence people's perceptions, shift their mindset, and ultimately persuade them to see things your way, no matter how persuasive your arguments are. Without trust, your influence will fall flat. Trust is the cornerstone of influence. People are more likely to follow, support, and be persuaded by those they trust. One of the most powerful ways to build trust is by demonstrating credibility. This doesn't just mean having expertise. It means showing that you are reliable, consistent, and have a track record of delivering results. Credibility is built in the smallest moments. When you follow through on commitments, when you act with integrity, and when you show people that you truly care about their needs. People can sense when you're being genuine, and they are far more likely to align themselves with you if they believe in your authenticity. Here's a great example. Think of a leader who promises to improve employee conditions but fails to deliver. Over time, the employees lose trust, and the leader's influence wanes. On the other hand, leaders who consistently keep their promises and show they have the best interests of their team in mind are able to maintain and increase their influence over time. Building credibility and trust is a long-term investment, but it's one of the most important foundations for sustained influence. One of the most natural ways to influence people is by practicing reciprocity. The idea that people are more likely to say yes to your request if you've done something for them first. This principle is embedded in human nature. When someone does something for us, we feel obligated to return the favor. Think about a time when someone did something nice for you. Didn't you feel a sense of obligation to return the favor? This is the power of reciprocity. The best influencers use this principle strategically by giving before they ask. For example, in business, offering value first, whether through helpful advice, valuable content, or an act of kindness, can go a long way toward building goodwill and opening the door for future collaboration. When you give first, people are far more likely to be open to what you offer in return. The key is to give without expecting anything in return immediately. In fact, the more genuine and unconditional your giving is, the more influence you'll have when it's time to ask for something. Actionable takeaways. 1. Understand human psychology. Use principles like reciprocity, social proof, and authority to influence others. 2. Develop emotional intelligence, EQ. Master your emotions and understand the emotions of others to connect and persuade effectively. 3. Master framing and reframing. Influence perceptions by presenting ideas in a compelling way and offering alternative perspectives. 4. Build trust and credibility. Focus on being reliable, consistent, and acting with integrity to establish long-term influence. 5. Use reciprocity strategically. Give value first to increase the likelihood that others will say yes to your requests. Influence is a powerful tool that can help you achieve your goals, whether you're leading a team, making a sale, or seeking support for your ideas. By understanding the principles of influence, developing emotional intelligence, and mastering the art of persuasion, you'll be able to connect with others, build strong relationships, and create lasting impact. Imagine being a leader who can inspire action and mobilize a team to pursue a shared vision with unwavering commitment. What if you could lead others with confidence, knowing that you are making decisions not just for yourself, but for the collective success of your team or organization? Strategic leadership isn't just about authority. It's about empowering others to take action and fostering an environment where people align with a common goal. In this section, we will explore the core principles of strategic leadership, how to create a vision, communicate it effectively, and inspire others to work towards it. We'll examine the traits of great leaders, the art of decision-making under uncertainty, and how to maintain momentum in the face of challenges. Whether you're leading a small team or a large organization, the principles of strategic leadership are key to not only achieving success, but to creating lasting impact. At the heart of strategic leadership is vision. Without vision, leadership becomes a mechanical task of managing day-to-day operations. But with a compelling vision, leaders can inspire others to reach beyond the ordinary and accomplish extraordinary feats. A clear vision serves as a North Star, providing direction and purpose. It allows you to define your goals in a way that aligns your actions with your ultimate objectives. Great leaders understand that their vision is not just about setting a goal. It's about inspiring others to share that vision and commit to it with passion. Consider a historical example. Winston Churchill during World War II, when Britain was facing a dire situation. Churchill didn't just focus on the immediate challenges. He communicated a vision of hope, courage, and resilience. His speeches were not simply about winning battles. They were about ensuring the survival of a nation and the preservation of freedom. Churchill's ability to paint a vivid picture of the future, despite the dire circumstances, mobilized an entire nation. For you, the challenge is to create a vision that inspires action. This vision needs to be clear, compelling, and most importantly, authentic. It should reflect not just the goals of the organization, but the values and aspirations of the people you lead. A vision is only powerful if it's communicated effectively. The best leaders are master communicators, able to articulate their vision in a way that resonates with others and motivates them to take action. When communicating your vision, it's important to connect emotionally. People don't just follow leaders because they have a plan. They follow because they believe in the vision and feel a personal connection to it. Your message should evoke emotions, inspire trust, and make others believe in the possibility of a better future. Think of Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. Jobs was known for his ability to craft a vision that was both simple and profound. He didn't just sell products. He sold a vision of a better, more creative world through technology. Apple's products weren't just tools. They were part of a larger movement to change how people interacted with technology. To communicate your vision effectively, focus on storytelling. Instead of simply stating facts or goals, tell a story that paints a picture of what the future could look like. Inspire people with your narrative and help them see how they can be a part of that story. At the core of strategic leadership is trust. No one will follow a leader they don't trust. Whether you're leading a team, a company, or even a country, building and maintaining trust is absolutely essential for effective leadership. Trust isn't built overnight. It's developed through consistency, integrity, and the ability to follow through on commitments. People follow leaders who deliver results, but they also follow leaders who show authenticity and transparency. When Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa, he wasn't just a leader because of his political power. He was a leader because he earned the trust of a divided nation. Despite the years of oppression, Mandela chose to unite South Africa rather than seek retribution. His commitment to healing and reconciliation demonstrated his integrity and created a bond of trust with his people. As a leader, you build trust by leading by example. Be transparent, share your challenges and wins, and show that you are committed to the same standards you expect of others. Trust is the foundation that enables you to inspire action, foster collaboration, and execute your vision. Every leader is faced with decisions that come with uncertainty. Whether it's deciding on the future direction of your company, navigating a crisis, or making a tough personnel choice. Strategic decision-making in uncertain times is one of the most important skills a leader can possess. The key to making decisions under uncertainty is not to fear the unknown, but to embrace it. Strategic thinkers know that uncertainty is a natural part of leadership, and they don't shy away from it. Instead, they develop confidence in their ability to navigate challenges, adjust when necessary, and pivot when required. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, is known for his ability to make bold decisions in the face of uncertainty. For example, when Amazon transitioned from being a bookstore to an online marketplace, there was no guarantee the company would succeed. Yet, Bezos trusted in his vision and his ability to adapt Amazon's strategy as new opportunities arose. As a leader, your job is to gather as much information as possible, evaluate potential risks, and then make the best decision you can with the knowledge available. But don't get paralyzed by uncertainty. Trust in your ability to learn, adjust, and make decisions that align with your ultimate goal. No leader can succeed alone. The most effective leaders understand that true leadership is about empowering others to reach their full potential. This means delegating tasks, developing talent, and creating an environment where everyone feels valued. Empowerment means giving your team the tools, the freedom, and the responsibility to make decisions on their own. It means trusting them to carry out the vision you've set forth and supporting them when needed, but also allowing them to take ownership of their roles. Consider the leadership style of Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group. Branson is known for empowering his team members by giving them the freedom to innovate and make decisions on their own. He believes that by trusting his employees, he fosters a culture of innovation and accountability. To empower your team, focus on developing their skills, providing constructive feedback, and creating a sense of ownership over their projects. Encourage them to make decisions, even if it means they'll make mistakes along the way. Empowerment isn't just about delegating. It's about developing the confidence and capability of your team to make decisions that contribute to your shared vision. Actionable takeaways. 1. Create a clear vision. Your vision should be inspiring, authentic, and easy to communicate. 2. Communicate your vision effectively by using storytelling to connect with others emotionally. 3. Build trust by leading with integrity, transparency, and follow-through. 4. Make decisions under uncertainty by embracing challenges and trusting your ability to adjust when needed. 5. Empower your team by delegating tasks, developing their skills, and allowing them to take ownership. Strategic leadership is about more than just having a title. It's about inspiring others to join you in the pursuit of a common vision. By focusing on vision, trust, and empowerment, you can lead with purpose and create a culture of success. Whether you're leading a company, a project, or a community, the principles of strategic leadership will enable you to not only achieve your goals, but also to create a lasting impact that resonates long after you've left the room. Change is inevitable. The world is constantly shifting, evolving, and presenting new challenges. In this unpredictable environment, strategic adaptability is one of the most valuable skills you can master. It's the ability to not just survive change, but to leverage it, use it as an advantage, and thrive in the face of uncertainty. In this section, we'll explore strategic adaptability and how it can help you stay ahead of the curve, navigate unexpected challenges, and ensure long-term relevance in an ever-evolving landscape. Whether you're an entrepreneur facing industry disruption, a leader guiding your team through a crisis, or an individual adapting to life changes, the ability to pivot strategically can make all the difference in your success. First, let's start with the simple truth. The only constant in life is change. In the business world, industries are disrupted by new technologies. In your personal life, unexpected events force you to adapt, whether it's a career shift, a new relationship, or a major move. While many people resist change out of fear or discomfort, strategic thinkers understand that change is not an obstacle, but an opportunity. Look at companies like Blockbuster. In the early 2000s, Blockbuster was the leader in video rental services. However, they failed to adapt to the rise of streaming services, like Netflix, and by the time they tried to pivot, it was too late. Blockbuster resisted the changing landscape of entertainment, sticking with its traditional business model, and ultimately, it was overtaken by more agile competitors. On the other hand, Netflix is a perfect example of a company that embraced change. They started as a DVD rental service but pivoted to streaming as the industry changed. Netflix's strategic adaptability allowed them not only to survive, but to become a dominant force in the entertainment world. Strategic adaptability involves embracing uncertainty and finding ways to turn change into a competitive advantage. The key is to anticipate change, prepare for it, and seize the opportunities it brings. The first step in mastering adaptability is situational awareness, the ability to read the signals of change before they become obvious. Great strategists and leaders don't wait for change to force their hand. Instead, they actively scan their environment, looking for emerging trends and weak signals that indicate the direction in which things are headed. For example, Elon Musk has built multiple successful companies by paying attention to trends in technology, transportation, and energy. His move into electric vehicles with Tesla wasn't a random decision. It was based on his early recognition of a shift toward renewable energy and sustainability. Similarly, his venture into space exploration with SpaceX was driven by the growing need for private space travel and commercial space exploration. Great strategists aren't just reactive to the world around them. They are proactive in seeking out new opportunities. They study the landscape, listen to the signals, and make decisions based on where the world is headed. To enhance your situational awareness, you need to stay informed and continually analyze both macro-level trends, such as societal shifts, technological advances, or global movements, and micro-level changes, like shifts in consumer behavior or small-scale innovations. The more attuned you are to these patterns, the more effectively you can adapt. One of the biggest challenges in strategic adaptability is finding the balance between consistency and flexibility. On one hand, staying true to your vision and your core values is important. On the other hand, rigidity can hold you back in a world that's constantly evolving. The best leaders and strategists understand this paradox. They are flexible in their approach, adapting their strategies and methods as needed, but they remain steadfast in their overall mission and vision. In fact, adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your goals. It means adjusting your approach based on changing circumstances. Take Apple, for example. The company has maintained a consistent vision of designing user-friendly, innovative technology. However, Apple's strategies and products have constantly evolved. They shifted from desktop computers to mobile phones, revolutionized the music industry with iTunes, and created an entirely new market with the iPhone. Apple's strategic adaptability lies in its ability to adapt its products and services while staying true to its core values of simplicity and innovation. They remain agile in their approach, always looking for ways to stay relevant without sacrificing their fundamental principles. The ability to pivot is often what separates the most successful individuals and organizations from the ones that get left behind. A pivot doesn't mean abandoning your goals. It's about recognizing when something isn't working and making a strategic shift to stay on course. A great example of a pivot with purpose is Instagram. Initially, Instagram began as a check-in app called Bourbon, but the team noticed that users were more interested in the photo sharing feature than the other aspects of the app. Instead of clinging to their original idea, the founders decided to pivot and focus entirely on the photo sharing feature. This decision ultimately turned Instagram into one of the most successful social media platforms in the world. Pivoting requires self-awareness and the ability to let go of strategies or ideas that aren't working. It's about evaluating your progress, recognizing when something isn't meeting your objectives, and adjusting course. But don't mistake a pivot for giving up. It's about refining your approach and staying aligned with your vision. Uncertainty is one of the biggest obstacles to adaptability. Change often comes with a level of uncertainty, and many people are uncomfortable with the unknown. But strategic thinkers embrace uncertainty as an inevitable part of life and use it to their advantage. Resilience plays a key role in adapting to uncertainty. Resilient individuals can bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward despite difficult circumstances. They maintain a positive mindset, stay focused on their goals, and adjust their approach when necessary. Consider the example of Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. Schultz grew up in a poor neighborhood, but he never let his circumstances define him. When he took over Starbucks, the company was struggling. However, Schultz didn't give up. He adapted Starbucks' approach, introducing a new concept of a third place where people could enjoy coffee and connect. Today, Starbucks is one of the most successful coffee chains worldwide. To develop your own strategic resilience, focus on keeping your mind flexible and remaining confident in the face of uncertainty. Adaptation isn't just about changing your actions. It's about maintaining a growth mindset that allows you to view challenges as opportunities to evolve. Diversity of thought is crucial for adaptability. The more perspectives you expose yourself to, the more prepared you'll be to navigate change. By surrounding yourself with a diverse network of people, both in terms of profession, experience, and even backgrounds, you can access new ideas, identify emerging trends, and find creative solutions to problems. Think about LinkedIn, the professional networking platform. Reid Hoffman, the founder, had the foresight to build a platform that wasn't just a professional directory, but a place to connect, learn, and innovate. By building diverse networks, LinkedIn became not just a tool for job seekers, but a hub for ideas and collaboration that would shape industries worldwide. Actionable takeaways. 1. Embrace uncertainty. See change not as a threat, but as an opportunity to grow and evolve. 2. Enhance situational awareness. Stay informed and scan your environment for emerging trends and shifts. 3. Balance consistency and flexibility. Stay true to your mission, but be flexible in your approach to achieve it. 4. Know when to pivot. Recognize when things aren't working and make strategic shifts to stay aligned with your goals. 5. Build resilience. Stay confident in the face of challenges and adapt your approach when necessary. 6. Cultivate diverse networks. Surround yourself with people who offer different perspectives to stay ahead of the curve. Strategic adaptability isn't just about responding to the world around you. It's about actively shaping your future. By learning to adapt strategically, you can not only survive change, but thrive in it. Whether it's pivoting when needed, embracing uncertainty, or building resilient networks. The principles of adaptability will allow you to stay relevant and achieve success. No matter how the world shifts, every single success or failure in life, business, and relationships can be traced back to the decisions we make. When you master strategic decision-making, you don't just react to the world around you. You take control of it. You optimize your choices, ensuring each one serves as a stepping stone to your larger goals. In this section, we'll explore how you can become more effective at making decisions that maximize impact, reduce risks, and position you for long-term success. Strategic decision-making goes beyond simply choosing between options. It's about analyzing potential outcomes, weighing risks and rewards, and making the best possible choice with the information you have at hand. It's about being decisive, even when the future is uncertain, and constantly refining your decision-making process to ensure you're consistently moving forward. One of the biggest barriers to success is indecision. Many people think that waiting for more information, more time, or a perfect situation will lead to the best decision. However, in reality, inaction is often the worst decision. Strategic thinkers understand that waiting indefinitely for perfect certainty can cause you to miss out on key opportunities. Take, for example, the decision to invest in a new market or start a new business. If you wait for absolute certainty or a perfect moment, you may end up missing your chance altogether. The world moves quickly, and opportunities wait for no one. Great leaders and strategists understand that making a decision, even if it's not perfect, is better than doing nothing. The key is managing risk, even if you don't have all the answers. Strategic decision-making is about minimizing risks and making the best decision with the available information. By waiting too long, you not only risk losing valuable opportunities, but also create unnecessary stress and uncertainty for yourself. One of the best ways to make strategic decisions is to ensure they are aligned with your vision and long-term objectives. When you have a clear purpose, it becomes much easier to evaluate your choices and ensure they align with your bigger goals. For example, if your vision is to become a leader in sustainable energy, your decisions around investments, partnerships, and product development should always be in alignment with that goal. You wouldn't waste resources on ventures that don't move you closer to that objective. Strategic thinkers are goal-oriented and ensure that every decision they make serves the broader purpose they are working towards. Clarity of purpose also allows you to make decisions more quickly because you have a clear criteria to measure your options against. It's not about being rigid, it's about knowing where you want to go, so you can choose the most effective path. One of the most valuable decision-making frameworks is the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. It's the idea that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. In other words, not all actions or decisions are created equal. Strategic thinkers focus on the few key decisions that will have the greatest impact. Imagine you are working on a project with a tight deadline. Instead of getting bogged down in minor details, you focus on the critical 20% of tasks that will deliver 80% of the value. By doing so, you ensure that your efforts are maximized, and you avoid wasting time on tasks that aren't important. The 80-20 rule isn't just for business. It applies to every aspect of life. When you focus on what truly matters, you optimize your time and resources, ensuring that you're always moving toward your goals with purpose and efficiency. Another crucial aspect of strategic decision-making is using mental models. Mental models are frameworks that help you simplify complex problems and make decisions more effectively. They are like shortcuts for thinking that allow you to quickly assess situations and identify the best course of action. Some popular mental models include 1. First principles. Thinking. This approach involves breaking a problem down to its most fundamental truths and reasoning up from there. By eliminating assumptions and preconceived notions, you can see the problem more clearly and make better decisions. 2. Inversion. This model focuses on thinking about what could cause failure and then avoiding those pitfalls. It forces you to think in reverse, asking, what would cause this to fail, and ensuring you take steps to prevent it. 3. Second-order thinking. Instead of just considering the immediate consequences of a decision, second-order thinking requires you to think about the long-term ripple effects of your actions. This helps you avoid short-term thinking and makes your decisions more strategic. By applying mental models, you can quickly organize your thinking, avoid biases, and arrive at more effective decisions. The more models you have in your toolbox, the more flexible and adaptive your decision-making process becomes. Every decision involves some level of risk, but strategic thinkers are skilled at managing that risk. They understand that risk is a natural part of progress, and that sometimes taking a calculated risk can lead to significant rewards. However, not all risks are created equal. Strategic decision-makers take the time to assess potential risks, evaluate their likelihood, and weigh the potential rewards against the possible downsides. By doing so, they ensure that they are taking risks intelligently, not recklessly. One way to manage risk is by using a risk versus reward matrix. This tool helps you categorize decisions based on the potential risks and rewards associated with them. It allows you to focus on high-reward opportunities while minimizing the risk. For example, if you're considering a major investment in a new technology, you might assess the potential reward of entering an untapped market against the risk of technology failing or being outdated. By carefully evaluating these factors, you can make an informed decision that aligns with your overall goals. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that often lead to faulty decision-making. These biases are the result of our brains trying to simplify complex decisions, but they can also cloud our judgment and lead to poor choices. Some common cognitive biases include confirmation bias, the tendency to seek information that supports our existing beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. Anchoring bias, the reliance on the first piece of information encountered, the anchor, when making decisions. Overconfidence bias, the tendency to overestimate our knowledge or ability to predict outcomes. To make better decisions, you must actively combat these biases. One way to do this is by practicing critical thinking. questioning assumptions, gathering diverse perspectives, and deliberately seeking out information that challenges your preconceptions. This helps you make decisions based on facts and logic, rather than emotions or biases. Actionable takeaways. 1. Don't fear indecision. Act decisively, even when perfect certainty isn't possible. 2. Clarify your purpose. Ensure your decisions align with your long-term vision. 3. Use the 80-20 rule. Focus on the 20% of decisions that will yield the most significant results. 4. Apply mental models. Use frameworks like first principles, thinking, and inversion to simplify complex decisions. 5. Manage risk intelligently. Assess potential rewards and risks before taking action. 6. Avoid cognitive biases. Practice critical thinking and seek diverse perspectives to make objective decisions. Strategic decision-making is a fundamental skill that can transform your life and career. By mastering the principles of clarity, risk management, and mental models, you'll be able to make smarter, more informed decisions that keep you moving forward toward your goals. Whether it's weighing options or navigating uncertainty, the ability to make strategic decisions will give you a competitive advantage and help you achieve success in any field. Negotiation isn't just a skill, it's an art. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, securing a promotion, or simply navigating personal relationships, strategic negotiation plays a vital role in your success. Mastering the art of negotiation means you can secure favorable outcomes, influence decisions, and persuade others to align with your goals without manipulating or coercing them. In this section, we'll dive into the principles of strategic negotiation, exploring how to use psychology, emotional intelligence, and tactical communication to guide your discussions. Whether you're facing a tough client, leading a team, or engaging in a critical business partnership, understanding the power dynamics at play in a negotiation will allow you to turn every conversation into an opportunity for success. At its core, negotiation is about leverage. It's not just about presenting facts or making demands. It's about shaping the conversation in a way that aligns the other party's interests with your own. In order to have leverage, you need to understand the other party's needs, motivations, and constraints. By identifying these elements, you can frame your proposal in a way that highlights the benefits for everyone involved. Take, for example, Richard Branson and his negotiations in the early days of Virgin Airlines. Branson didn't just ask for favorable deals. He demonstrated how Virgin's success could benefit everyone, including his partners, investors, and even competitors. His understanding of shared value gave him leverage, allowing him to secure favorable agreements that were mutually beneficial. In any negotiation, your goal should be to identify mutual gains and create value for all parties involved. Great negotiators don't view negotiations as zero-sum games. They see them as opportunities for collaboration. When both sides feel like they've gained something valuable, the negotiation is more likely to result in a positive outcome. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is one of the most powerful tools in negotiation. The ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions, both your own and the emotions of others, can make or break a negotiation. Negotiators with high EQ are skilled at reading emotional cues, responding empathetically, and building rapport with the other party. This ability to connect on an emotional level helps build trust and establishes a foundation for productive negotiation. Think of Barack Obama, who was often praised for his ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Obama's emotional intelligence allowed him to navigate difficult political negotiations, find common ground, and inspire others to work together, even when they didn't fully agree on all points. His empathetic communication was key to building bridges and advancing his agenda. When you can empathize with the other party's emotions, you're better equipped to manage resistance and keep the conversation on track. Listen actively, acknowledge their concerns, and use empathy to create a more collaborative environment. The way you present your proposal can have a significant impact on how it's received. Framing is the technique of presenting information in a way that makes it more compelling and persuasive, instead of simply stating the facts. Strategic negotiators frame the discussion in a way that aligns their objectives with the other party's interests. They present their proposals not just as a set of demands, but as a win-win solution that benefits everyone. For example, when discussing price increases, a skilled negotiator might frame the increase not as a burden, but as a necessary investment to maintain or improve quality. Instead of saying, "We need to raise prices," they might say, "This price adjustment will ensure that we can continue to offer you the best quality product without compromising on service." Framing allows you to shift the perspective of the negotiation and steer the conversation toward solutions rather than problems. It's about presenting your ideas in a way that feels natural and appealing to the other party. One of the most powerful tools in any negotiation is silence. Many people feel uncomfortable with pauses in conversation and rush to fill the silence with words. However, strategic negotiators understand that silence creates pressure. It forces the other party to think more deeply and often leads them to reveal more information than they originally intended. Think of the classic pause and wait technique in negotiation. When the other party makes an offer or puts forward an idea, instead of immediately responding, remain silent. Let the silence sit for a moment. This not only gives you time to gather your thoughts, but it also encourages the other party to fill the gap by either offering more favorable terms or explaining their position further. Negotiation isn't about talking more. It's about listening strategically. By using silence as a tool, you give yourself the space to observe and evaluate the other party's reactions, allowing you to adjust your approach accordingly. Timing is another critical element of successful negotiation. Knowing when to make your move, when to push for a decision, and when to hold back can significantly impact the outcome. Take Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO of Facebook. Sandberg was known for her strategic timing in negotiations, particularly when it came to Facebook's partnerships and acquisitions. She knew exactly when to push for an agreement and when to wait for the other party to come to the table. Great negotiators know that timing is often everything. By being patient and waiting for the right moment, you can avoid rushing into decisions and instead position yourself for a more favorable outcome. Timing also involves knowing when to walk away if the terms aren't right. Sometimes the best decision is to delay or even terminate the negotiation until a better opportunity arises. Reciprocity is one of the most powerful principles in negotiation. It's the idea that if you give something, the other party feels obligated to give something in return. This principle is rooted in human psychology, the natural tendency to return favors or offer something in exchange for a benefit. Strategic negotiators use reciprocity to build trust and create lasting relationships. By offering something of value, whether it's information, support, or concessions, you create goodwill that encourages the other party to reciprocate. For example, In business negotiations, offering a small concession early on, such as a discount or additional services, can often lead to a more favorable outcome later, as the other party feels obligated to return the favor. The key here is to offer something genuine, not manipulative. The best negotiators build relationships based on mutual respect, not just transactions. Reciprocity isn't about tricking someone into giving you what you want. It's about fostering mutual benefit. Actionable takeaways. 1. Understand leverage. Use shared value to create win-win solutions. 2. Practice emotional intelligence. Connect with others on an emotional level to build trust. 3. Frame the conversation. Present proposals in a way that aligns your goals with the other party's interests. 4. Use silence strategically. Give space for the other party to respond and reveal more information. 5. Time your moves. Wait for the right moment to push for a decision or walk away. 6. Apply reciprocity. Offer value and build strong relationships based on mutual benefit. Strategic negotiation is a key element of effective leadership and decision-making. By mastering the art of influence, persuasion, and relationship building, you can navigate any negotiation with confidence and secure favorable outcomes that align with your long-term goals. Whether you're negotiating a deal or leading a team, the principles outlined here will ensure that you're always a step ahead and ready to win. Every successful decision you make, whether in business, leadership, or personal life, shapes your future. Yet, many people find themselves caught in a cycle of hesitation or impulsive decisions that undermine their potential. Strategic decision-making isn't about making the perfect choice every time, but about consistently making the best possible decisions with the information available. In this section, we'll explore the principles that guide strategic decision-making, focusing on how to optimize your choices, reduce unnecessary risks, and ensure that every decision you make brings you closer to your long-term goals. One of the biggest obstacles to making effective decisions is a lack of clarity. When you're uncertain about your end goals, every choice feels overwhelming. Strategic decision-making begins with clear objectives. The better you understand what you're working toward, the easier it becomes to make decisions that align with those goals. Imagine you're planning a new business venture. If you have a clear vision of where you want the company to go, you'll be able to assess opportunities, partnerships, and investments based on how they fit into that vision. Without that clarity, however, decisions become reactionary and based on whatever feels urgent or important in the moment. The key to strategic decision-making is starting with clear, well-defined objectives. It's not just about deciding what you want in the short term. It's about understanding the bigger picture. Ask yourself, what am I ultimately trying to achieve? Once you answer that, every decision you make should move you closer to that goal. The Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, is one of the most valuable decision-making frameworks. It states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. This means that not all decisions or actions carry equal weight. Some choices will have a disproportionate impact on your success, while others will be less consequential. For instance, if you're running a business, 80% of your revenue may come from just 20% of your customers. Or, in personal development, 20% of the skills you focus on could lead to 80% of the progress. The key is to identify the critical few decisions or areas of focus that will yield the highest return and prioritize them. Strategic decision-makers focus on high-leverage activities, the choices that will have the most significant impact on their outcomes. They don't waste time on insignificant tasks or get bogged down by trivial decisions. They constantly ask, "What's the 20% that will drive 80% of my results?" When facing complex decisions, mental models act as frameworks that help simplify the process. These models serve as mental shortcuts, helping you analyze problems from different perspectives, identify key variables, and make decisions more effectively. Some of the most useful mental models for strategic decision-making include: 1. First principles thinking. This model encourages you to break down a problem into its most basic elements and reason up from there, rather than relying on existing assumptions. For example, Elon Musk used first principles thinking to reimagine the cost structure of building rockets, drastically reducing costs for SpaceX. 2. Inversion thinking. Instead of focusing solely on what will make you successful, inversion thinking asks, what would guarantee failure? By identifying potential pitfalls, you can avoid them and ensure your decisions lead to success. 3. Second-order thinking. This model forces you to consider the long-term consequences of your decisions. Instead of just asking, "What will happen if I do this?" you also ask, "What will happen after that?" This approach prevents you from making short-sighted choices and ensures you're always thinking ahead. By integrating these mental models into your decision-making process, you can more easily identify the most effective choices and avoid potential risks. Every decision carries some level of risk, but strategic decision-makers are adept at managing that risk. Risk management isn't about avoiding risks entirely. It's about evaluating risks intelligently and making decisions that balance potential rewards with the likelihood of failure. For example, when starting a new business, there will always be some uncertainty. However, a strategic thinker will assess the risks of failure and balance them against the potential rewards, and use tools like probability analysis to make more informed decisions. By breaking down the risks and preparing for various outcomes, you can make choices that maximize reward and minimize loss. A great decision isn't always about being risk-averse. It's about taking calculated risks. For instance, in the tech industry, companies like Apple and Tesla took risks with new product development, but those risks paid off because they were carefully considered and well executed. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that can cloud your judgment and lead to poor decision-making. Confirmation bias, anchoring bias, and overconfidence bias are just a few examples of how our brains can mislead us. For instance, confirmation bias causes you to seek out information that supports your existing beliefs, while overconfidence bias may lead you to overestimate your ability to predict future outcomes. These biases can create blind spots in your decision-making process and lead to decisions based on emotion or subjectivity, rather than logic and evidence. Strategic thinkers counteract these biases by actively seeking diverse perspectives and questioning their assumptions. They train themselves to think critically about their decisions and ensure they are based on objective facts, not emotions or preconceived notions. One strategy for minimizing bias is to practice pre-mortem analysis. Imagine that your decision has already failed, and then think about what went wrong. This exercise forces you to see potential flaws in your decision-making process before you make the choice, allowing you to correct any errors beforehand. Every decision comes with opportunity costs, the value of what you're giving up by choosing one option over another. This is an essential concept in strategic decision-making because it helps you weigh the full implications of your choices. For example, When you decide to spend time on one project, you're not spending that time on another project that could also lead to success. The key is to always ask yourself, what am I giving up by making this decision? Is this the best use of my time, energy, and resources? If not, you may want to rethink your choice. Strategic decision makers are mindful of opportunity costs. They understand that every choice they make comes at the expense of other opportunities, and they take this into account when assessing potential decisions. Actionable takeaways. 1. Gain clarity of purpose. Start with clear goals to guide your decision-making process. 2. Apply the 80-20 rule. Focus on high-leverage decisions that deliver the greatest results. 3. Use mental models. Simplify complex decisions by applying proven frameworks. 4. Evaluate risk intelligently. Assess potential rewards and risks before making a decision. 5. Minimize cognitive biases. Challenge your assumptions and seek diverse perspectives to avoid biases. 6. Consider opportunity costs. Weigh the value of what you're giving up with each decision. Strategic decision-making is more than just a skill. It's a mindset. By clarifying your goals, prioritizing your efforts, and managing risk effectively, you can make decisions that maximize impact and keep you on track toward your long-term vision. Strategic decision makers stay ahead of the curve, making choices based on logic and foresight, rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. The next time you're faced with a decision, use these tools to optimize your choices and ensure you're always moving in the right direction. Leadership is not just about holding a title or position. It's about the ability to guide, inspire, and empower others toward a common vision. Strategic leadership is the art of aligning your decisions, actions, and resources in such a way that you create lasting impact, not only for yourself, but for the team, organization, or movement you lead. In this section, we will delve into the core components of strategic leadership: how to lead with vision, influence effectively, and execute with precision. Strategic leadership requires a delicate balance of many skills: emotional intelligence, decision-making, vision, and influence. It's not just about being in charge. It's about empowering others, building trust, and aligning people and resources toward achieving shared goals. Let's explore how you can develop the kind of leadership that drives both personal and organizational success. Vision is the foundation of strategic leadership. It's the compelling picture of the future that guides every decision you make and influences how others perceive and engage with your leadership. Without a clear vision, a leader risks losing direction and failing to inspire their team. A strong vision serves as both a North Star and a source of motivation. It provides clarity on the destination and fuels the energy needed to overcome challenges along the way. Leaders with a clear vision are able to inspire others because their passion and direction are clear, and people naturally want to follow those who have a strong sense of where they are heading. Take Steve Jobs and the vision he had for Apple. Jobs' ability to articulate a vision for the future, one that focused on innovation, simplicity, and user experience, not only transformed Apple, but also changed the tech industry forever. Jobs didn't just want to build computers. He wanted to create a user-centric ecosystem of devices that would revolutionize how people interacted with technology. This vision motivated his team, shaped Apple's culture, and gave the company a sense of purpose beyond just making profits. A strategic leader's vision should always be clear, compelling, and shared. It needs to align with the values and aspirations of the people you lead. providing them with something meaningful to work towards. True leadership is not about authority. It's about influence. Strategic leaders understand that they can achieve far more by persuading, inspiring, and aligning others than by simply issuing orders or exerting control. Influence is about building trust, aligning interests, and encouraging collaboration toward shared goals. A leader who can influence others doesn't rely on fear or coercion. They use their credibility and emotional intelligence to guide others toward decisions that benefit everyone. In fact, strategic leaders understand that the key to influence is not simply convincing others to agree with them, but finding ways to align their needs and desires with the leader's vision. Consider Nelson Mandela. His ability to influence came from his deep understanding of people, empathy, and commitment to justice. Rather than force his will, he earned the respect of others through his integrity, patience, and ability to inspire collaboration. He influenced not only his fellow South Africans but the world, moving an entire nation towards the peaceful end of apartheid. Effective leaders don't just issue commands. They engage people's hearts and minds, build relationships, and guide them through collaboration. They know that true influence comes from creating an environment where people feel empowered and aligned with the leader's vision. One of the most powerful aspects of strategic leadership is emotional intelligence, EQ. Leaders with high EQ are not only aware of their own emotions, but also understand and manage the emotions of others. This ability to read emotional cues, show empathy, and regulate emotions in high-pressure situations is essential for fostering trust, building strong teams, and making better decisions. Emotional intelligence in leadership involves 4 key areas. 1. Self-awareness, understanding your own emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. 2. Self-regulation, the ability to control your emotions, particularly in difficult situations. 3. Empathy, the ability to recognize and understand the emotions of others. 4. Social skills, building relationships, communicating effectively, and resolving conflicts. Leaders with high EQ are adept at managing relationships and motivating people in ways that go beyond transactional interactions. They can gauge the emotional climate of their team and take steps to address concerns, provide support, and make others feel heard. This is particularly important when managing crises or navigating organizational changes. Take Oprah Winfrey, for instance. Her emotional intelligence has been a key element in her success as a leader and communicator. Oprah's ability to empathize with people and connect with them on a deep emotional level is one of the reasons why millions of people admire her and listen to her. She has been able to inspire action and build trust through her genuine emotional connections with others. As a leader, you are constantly faced with decisions that have far-reaching consequences. The ability to make sound decisions under pressure is a hallmark of strategic leadership. While no decision is ever completely risk-free, strategic leaders are skilled at weighing options, evaluating risks, and making informed decisions that move the organization closer to its objectives. A key aspect of decision-making is decisiveness. Leaders who hesitate or fail to act often lose the trust of their teams and miss critical opportunities. Strategic leaders, however, don't act impulsively. They gather relevant information, consider alternatives, and then take decisive action. They are also quick to adjust if things don't go as planned, viewing setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth. For instance, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, made numerous tough decisions in the early days of the company, One of his most significant decisions was the choice to focus Amazon on e-commerce instead of trying to become a traditional retailer. While many questioned the decision, Bezos moved forward with confidence and a clear understanding of where the digital world was heading. His ability to make bold decisions has been key to Amazon's meteoric rise. A great leader isn't just a visionary. They are also an executor. The execution of strategic plans is where many leaders fall short. They may have a strong vision and great ideas, but without precision in execution, those ideas remain just that, ideas. Strategic leaders are relentless in their pursuit of excellence, ensuring that every decision and action taken aligns with the larger vision. They don't get bogged down by unnecessary details or distractions. They remain focused on the end goal and drive their teams to achieve it. Effective execution involves clear goals and milestones, accountability and ownership, relentless follow-through, managing resources effectively, maintaining momentum. For example, Elon Musk has repeatedly demonstrated his ability to execute his ambitious ideas, whether with SpaceX, Tesla, or Neuralink. Musk has turned audacious goals into real-world achievements by executing with precision and relentless drive. He doesn't just plan, he makes things happen. As a leader, one of the most important things you can build is trust. Trust is the foundation of effective leadership and the key to long-term success. You can't influence or inspire others without it. The principle of reciprocity, the idea that people are more likely to help you if you have first helped them, plays a significant role in building trust. Strategic leaders don't just demand respect or expect cooperation. They earn it by consistently demonstrating their integrity, competence, and commitment to their teams. Leaders who invest in building strong relationships with their team members create an environment of mutual respect and loyalty. This, in turn, encourages people to work harder, trust the process, and stay engaged even during challenging times. Actionable takeaways. 1. Create a compelling vision. Inspire others by communicating a clear, motivating vision for the future. 2. Influence through empathy. Build trust and rapport by understanding and responding to the emotional needs of others. 3. Develop emotional intelligence. Enhance your leadership ability by cultivating self-awareness, self-regulation, and social skills. 4. Make decisive decisions. Don't hesitate. Take calculated action based on available information. 5. Execute with precision. Transform your vision into action through clear goals, accountability, and relentless follow-through. 6. Build trust and reciprocity. Foster loyalty and cooperation by consistently demonstrating integrity and competence. Strategic leadership is about empowering others, driving change, and leading with clarity and precision. By mastering the key principles of leadership, vision, influence, emotional intelligence, and execution, you can guide your organization or team to success. The next time you're faced with a leadership challenge, remember that true leadership is not about titles. It's about the impact you create and the relationships you build along the way. In today's fast-paced, ever-evolving landscape, strategic adaptability is not just a desirable trait, it's a critical survival skill. Whether you're navigating unpredictable market shifts, dealing with new competitors, or responding to global events, the ability to pivot and adapt while maintaining clarity of purpose can make the difference between success and failure. Adaptability is about staying agile, flexible, and resilient in the face of change, while ensuring your long-term objectives remain intact. In this section, we'll explore how you can develop strategic adaptability by leveraging situational awareness, embracing continuous learning, and refining your ability to adjust your strategies to suit shifting conditions. One of the first steps in becoming more adaptable is shifting your mindset. Most people view change with a sense of fear or resistance. It's uncomfortable, and it challenges the status quo. But strategic thinkers see change as an opportunity, not a threat. In fact, successful leaders and organizations are those who anticipate change before it happens and prepare for it. Take Netflix as an example. Initially, a DVD rental service, it faced a challenge with the rise of digital streaming services. Instead of clinging to its old business model, Netflix embraced the shift and transformed into a global streaming giant. Strategic leaders understand that change is inevitable, and rather than resisting it, they find creative ways to capitalize on the new opportunities it presents. They continuously ask themselves, what is changing in my environment, and how can I leverage that change to my advantage? Situational awareness involves being able to detect early signs of change before they become major disruptions. These weak signals are subtle clues in the environment that indicate an emerging trend, shift, or risk that may have long-term implications. For example, in the early 2000s, Apple's iTunes disrupted the music industry by recognizing the shift toward digital downloads before it became mainstream. Apple didn't wait for the market to demand digital music. They anticipated it and acted proactively, positioning themselves ahead of the curve. To build situational awareness, you need to develop the ability to scan your environment, collect data, and observe emerging patterns. Leaders with situational awareness constantly engage with new ideas, monitor trends, and listen to feedback. They don't wait for change to force their hand. They prepare for it by acting in advance. Strategic adaptability is built on a foundation of continuous learning. The best leaders and organizations never stop evolving. They embrace learning as a process of adaptation and growth. They view challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities to learn and refine their strategies. For example, Google is constantly iterating on its products and reevaluating its strategies. Google doesn't just stick to its initial vision or product offerings. It learns from its users, adapts to changing needs, and is willing to pivot when necessary. Google's annual 20% time, where employees are encouraged to dedicate a portion of their time to exploring new ideas, helps the company stay ahead of the curve and adapt quickly to new trends or technological shifts. As a strategic leader, you should encourage a culture of lifelong learning within your team. Create an environment where employees feel encouraged to take calculated risks, explore new opportunities, and learn from failures. When you prioritize learning, you ensure that your organization can adapt quickly and stay relevant in an ever-changing world. Intellectual humility is a cornerstone of adaptability. It involves being willing to question your assumptions, challenge established beliefs, and admit when you don't have all the answers. Leaders who are intellectually humble are more open to feedback, more willing to change their approach, and better at adapting when circumstances demand it. For instance, Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, initially struggled to get his coffeehouse vision off the ground. But rather than clinging to his original ideas, Schultz listened to feedback and adapted. He continuously sought out new ideas, refined his strategy, and pivoted when needed. That willingness to learn and adapt helped turn Starbucks into a global powerhouse. Being intellectually humble doesn't mean doubting yourself. It means being open to new information and alternative viewpoints that could improve your decision-making and strategies. By embracing intellectual humility, you create an environment where your team feels safe to express ideas, challenge assumptions, and innovate. Strategic adaptability is also about rapid learning and iteration. In a world where everything moves fast, the ability to learn quickly and adjust on the fly is essential. Test new ideas, measure the results, and then adapt your approach based on what works and what doesn't. This iterative approach allows you to learn from your mistakes and make real-time adjustments without getting stuck in a single strategy or plan. For example, Facebook continually tests new features and adjusts its algorithm based on user feedback. By embracing agility and iteration, Facebook stays responsive to user needs and shifts in the market. As a strategic leader, you should encourage a culture of experimentation and rapid iteration within your team. Test new strategies, gather data, and adapt your plans based on what works. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is an essential part of learning and adapting. In any period of change, there will be setbacks and uncertainty. Emotional resilience is the ability to stay focused, adapt, and maintain your composure even in the face of adversity. Strategic leaders don't just endure setbacks, they thrive through them. Leaders like Warren Buffett have demonstrated remarkable emotional resilience throughout their careers. Buffett has faced several major setbacks, including market downturns and public criticism. But his ability to maintain focus and make rational decisions through these turbulent times has allowed him to consistently outlast short-term volatility and succeed in the long term. As a leader, emotional resilience means staying calm under pressure, navigating uncertainty, and embracing the lessons that come with challenges. It's about developing a mindset that views obstacles as opportunities to grow and adapt. Being proactive rather than reactive is one of the most powerful aspects of strategic adaptability. Reactive leaders only act when change forces them to, often scrambling to catch up and making decisions under pressure. Proactive leaders, on the other hand, anticipate change and shape their future before it arrives. Consider Apple's strategy under Tim Cook's leadership. Instead of reacting to trends, Apple's team anticipated new technological innovations like wearables and smart homes and began developing products that would capitalize on these shifts. By being proactive, Apple was able to stay ahead of its competitors and shape the future of technology. Strategic leaders are constantly thinking ahead, anticipating change, and positioning themselves for future success. Being proactive allows you to avoid being caught off guard and ensures that you're always a step ahead. Actionable takeaways. 1. Embrace change. Shift your mindset to see change as an opportunity for growth and innovation. 2. Develop situational awareness. Scan your environment for weak signals of change that could impact your strategy. 3. Foster continuous learning. Encourage a culture of ongoing growth and adaptability within your team. 4. Practice intellectual humility. Be open to new ideas and willing to pivot when necessary. 5. Iterate quickly. Test, measure, and adjust your strategies based on real-time feedback. 6. Build emotional resilience. Stay calm and focused in the face of setbacks and uncertainty. 7. Be proactive. Anticipate changes and position yourself to lead them rather than reacting to them. Strategic adaptability is the key to thriving in an uncertain world. By embracing change, learning continuously, and staying flexible, you can not only navigate disruptions, but also use them as a springboard for growth. Adaptability is not about surviving in the face of change. It's about leading it, shaping your future with confidence, clarity, and purpose. When you master strategic adaptability, you're no longer just reacting to the world, you're shaping it. As we've journeyed through the principles of strategic thinking, we've uncovered the essential skills that will enable you to navigate challenges, outsmart obstacles, and ultimately control your destiny. The key to strategic success isn't just about reacting to the world around you. It's about shaping it to your advantage, using foresight, adaptability, and influence to guide your decisions. From building a clear vision and mastering emotional intelligence, to adapting quickly to change and leading with integrity. The strategies we've discussed are tools to empower you in all areas of life. Whether you're facing a career challenge, working on personal development, or leading a team, these strategies are designed to give you the upper hand in an increasingly competitive world. But remember, the most important part of strategic thinking is action. The principles we've covered are not just theoretical. They are practical frameworks that you can apply in real time. The true power lies in your ability to implement them in your day-to-day decisions, making small changes that add up to significant shifts in your long-term success. Now that you've learned the core strategies of strategic thinking, the next step is to put them into practice. Whether you're leading a team, making high-stakes decisions, or simply navigating your personal journey, the key is to consistently think ahead, embrace change, and act with confidence. Strategic thinking isn't just about knowing the right path, it's about taking it. So, as you move forward, keep your mind open, stay adaptable, and always remember, you are the strategist of your own life. Master these principles, and you'll not only outsmart the challenges ahead, you'll create the opportunities that others never saw coming.